Market conditions majority bullish. S&P futures down 0.32 this morning. We're still sitting at all-time highs as of Friday, and on this daily time frame you can see where we're at in this trend. Expanded to the upside, continuing to fan out in this current trend as we are also moving 14-0 on the weekly time frame here as well. A solid bull market intact, upper end of the range, extreme to the upside here as well. The question is, are we going to get a retracement back to this demand block here around that 6,500 range, or do we get a little bit deeper range, or do we not test that currently in this current location? That's kind of where we're standing. Are we going to continue this melt up here? Is there going to be any kind of catalyst that could really drive us that direction, or do we start to soften right here going into October? Traditionally, September, October, a little bit weaker going into the Santa Claus rally of November, December. So we'll see if we get some kind of a retracement, some kind of a pause here. Breadth, the number of stocks above the 50-day moving average sitting at 56%, so still relatively weak. Majority bearish at 14 on that indicator. We're also seeing VIX strengthening here just a little bit, pushing up here to 9 and 5, so still majority bearish, but you can see that trend starting to squeeze back together again. We're sitting at 16 now on VIX. That's an indication of put buying on the S&P 500, so you're getting institutional investment into the downside. That's really the value of the VIX, is watching to see, do we get a spike in that, or are we starting to trend that direction? Really nothing of note as of yet, but that is starting to soften and squeeze back towards the bullish side, which is bearish for stocks. S&P 500 closed out at 14-0 last week, and the weekly time frame also 14-0. Pretty wide distance from our really next significant support range around that 6,500 area. Dow Jones Industrial Average, as noted by the DIA, is also 14-0. New all-time highs, demand block around that 4,500 range, and again still in momentum. We're connected and at the all-time highs on this fib snap tool, so our playground range could still be all the way down to that 440 range and still be in bullish momentum. So any pullback, any retracement, at least watch to see how that structural location, how that structural process unfolds, to see if it's relatively orderly, if dips are being bought into, or if we start to see some distribution selling where we get these large red bars. We've yet to really see anything significant now for several months in terms of indication of some selling. We saw that, but all of those dips here were bought into. This is the Nasdaq triple Qs. Nasdaq 100, same story here, seeing those continued new highs, all-time highs, and watching to see if we continue this overall smaller trend, kind of a deeper retracement, put us back to that 581, even deeper, put us back to that 566 on triple Qs. IWM, Russell 2000, I've adjusted the demand block location. We moved through that really large supply block. We're now getting all-time highs here, a breakout pattern, so we can adjust that towards this bullish perspective. Now we're watching for retracement zones to see how those hold up, as we're really getting a nice solid move here in small cap names. USO hovering around and playing around that 38250 range, still inside of that zone, starting to pull back here. That may test that 7212 range again on USO. You got majority bearish here as it's flipped back to that downturn. It's really some indecision. It can't decide if it wants to retrace and test. If it does break that 72 range, it should be a quick trip to the 618, that 69 range. Otherwise, watching for momentum if it breaks, and again, it's just stuck right in that range right here. Gold, on the other hand, continuing looking like it's going to open at all-time highs again here today, 341 on GLD, which is the ETF for gold, and continued that overall bullish move. Really wide expansion right here, but just getting bought like crazy. Any pullbacks, the breakout is continuing to work. Interesting price pattern there for GLD. 2-year Treasuries starting to get some strength here on the rate. We're at 357, holding up those lows around that 345 range, getting a little bit of a turn here, but we've had some expansion to the downside, testing some significant support areas here on the weekly time frame. You can also see we've been trending to the downside here, now getting that compression, majority bearish on the weekly, and could be watching to see if we break this support area at 351. That could put us back into some of these deeper ranges here as well. That's the 2-year Treasury. The 10-year, also similar type pattern, a little bit stronger. 13-1 though, as it is bouncing off some support areas, working back up above that 4 range, tested that 4 range, and now back up to 412. 391 is the 236 location on the weekly time frame. A couple stock names to consider today. You're seeing Uber, which is back up in a momentum confirmation bar. Nice volume increasing there as well. Also seeing DC, which is in the gold space, and same into momentum confirmation bar, as that is, as you know, surprising that some of these gold names have not moved even more. They certainly still could do that with gold doing what it's doing, so keep an eye on DC in that space. There was one other one that looked really good, MGNI, which is Magnite in the advertising space, in the display advertising space, which is still just expanding rapidly. So interesting company, interesting name right here as well. That'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day today.